Hello, everyone, and welcome to On the Couch, the podcast where we bring you intimate, thought-provoking conversations with fascinating individuals from all corners of life. I'm your host, Dr. Diamond, along with my co-hosts, and each episode will dive deep into the minds and hearts of our guests, uncovering the experiences and stories that shape their lives. From heartfelt personal journeys to groundbreaking ideas, On the Couch offers a unique space to explore it all. So, sit back, relax, and join us for a journey of discovery, connection, and inspiration. Welcome to the couch, and let's go.
Good morning, everyone. It is March 8th, and we are back. Well, today I'm actually on my own today, so there's no big issue. I have like a couple of things. My co-hosts have a couple of things going on. So it's just you and I. So Dr. Diamond is here. It is again a wonderful Saturday. Finally, the sun is shining. I cannot wait till summer come. Really, I'm looking forward to the spring and then gradually get into summertime. I'm a summer person. I enjoy being outside, doing things. You can do more than have on your coats all day long. Well, today, as we know, the topic that I'm going to be talking about is for Women History Month. So I'm going to talk about how that came about, and then I would like to shift gears about self-compassion, because that is a part of, taking care of yourself as a woman and how important that is for you and your survival throughout your lifetime. Okay, so let's talk about Women History Month and how did it come about. So Women History Month, and forgive me if I'm looking down a couple of times because I just want to go over and make sure I have my facts. So Women History Month is a celebration of women's contribution to history, culture, and society, and has been observed annually in the month of March. So we're looking at the whole month of March where women are doing or have done great things. So think about a woman that comes to mind that you can think of that have done some great things. For example, we can see that, let's think about presently, you've got Jasmine Crockett. She's out there fighting for us and speaking in Congress all the time to, let people know that she's fighting for the people. She took her job very seriously, and she continues to take it seriously because she's on the front lines just making sure that we are okay. Then you have, women that we've all grown up to know about, which is Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks. Those women, they have done some great things as well. And then you have women like Oprah Winfrey, who have become a successful and wealthy woman. And she's done some wonderful and extraordinary things throughout the years, giving back. Especially I know she's given back a lot to the African communities out there by building schools for, girls of color. And that's important, that she saw it as selfless to actually go out and do something for someone else, to make sure that there's success for those young people. Again, so Women's History Month is a dedication month that reflects overall the contribution of women in history. They mention a few women here: Abigail Adams, Susan B. Anthony, Sojourner Truth, again, Rosa Parks, and the list goes on. And I'm going to touch on some other women as well about the month of Women Month. Again, Women History Month. Now, I didn't know too much about Women History Month. I think as I got older, I began to recognize Women History Month and it's being celebrated. But in 1978 is when it came to fruition in Sonoma, California. This is where it was called, came out of a real women's essay. So this essay began on a catalyst to just the week where it was just Women's Week, and now it's shifted to Women's Month. And that's important, again, that women are seen and valued and not being put in a position that they're not seen or heard. Although we are in a climate now that we don't know how it's going to go backwards for women. We just have to be careful in the climate that we're in. But I would say steadfast, and continue to do the things that you're doing. Women that are out there that are fighting in the front line, especially to Black women. We have contributed so much in this society, and yet society still does not look at us as a valuable part of society. We always have to work 2, 10, 20 times harder to be valued and to be seen in these jobs. Also, it appears that we come across as a threat if we are too educated. And of course, that shouldn't be that way. We don't make as much money as those that are out there making 10 times more money than we are, and they don't even have the same education level as we do. So what I would say for you women out there, celebrate yourself. Although Women History Month is here, it is a catalyst to what do I do to celebrate things for me and other women that I've seen. Black women, we do need to work a little bit harder about, loving each other better and not always feeling that other Black women are a threat to us. All Black women do not do that, but it's something to think about. It's something that we need to work on. Those of us that are practicing this type of behavior, holding on to grudges long term for no apparent reason, there's no reason to do that. As a grown person, you can go to another woman and speak to that person about how you're feeling and what is going on. So, as again, if we're going to celebrate women, we got to celebrate women as a whole, not just partially. So again, if you're having an issue with someone, sit down, talk to that person, and be an adult and work through it, because everything is possible. And you can always say at the end of this is not something that I want. I do not want to remain or continue into a relationship that is not going to be good for me. But that's something that you have to recognize as you go along with the people that you're talking to. Okay, so listen. 23 influential Black women to celebrate during Black History Month, as well as I see as Women History Month as well. So when we think about some of the women that have done some extraordinary things, I would like to definitely talk about, Vice President Kamala Harris. I think she did an outstanding job trying her best to become the president of the United States. Although she wasn't able to accomplish this goal, we had to look at the fact that her timeline was much shorter than the average person that would be running for office. She continued to go out into the communities and tried her best to persuade those to know that she was coming for their best interests, to go into the presidency to make valuable change in society. Is there fear, I think, of women going into the White House? Yes, I do. Because at some point, we also had Hillary Clinton that was trying to get into the White House as well. And as you can see, she was not welcomed as well. A lot of people did not vote for her. So I'm just curious about what is the fear? What is the fear about women running this country? Do you think that we will be running off of emotion? And if we are running off of emotion, there's a human part to that. There's some humility. There is also looking at things from a perspective of empathy. If you have to empathize with others and understand where others are coming from. We are naturally that way, that we think about others because we are nurturers. So that is a given. We will all automatically think about others. But the fear of having a woman in office is, something that I am trying to gravel with. I don't understand what is the apprehension about it, but I think the things that I have named is part of it. And then I also think if a Black woman is in charge, that is also an issue because we're not seen or valued as such in a way that we are able to be in leadership, in such the highest leadership of them all. But I think that anyone can accomplish whatever they put their mind to. Michelle Obama, when she was the first lady, she did an outstanding job as being a first lady and the best presentation of an African American woman in the White House, as well as her daughters. They carried themselves with esteem. They looked love. She looked great all the time, very well dressed, very well put together. Her daughters as well. To this day, you do not hear anything, about her daughters that are, not good in the news. Listening to something that will tear their reputation down. You hear nothing that will tear their reputation down. These young ladies are doing well, going to college, doing extraordinary things, and that is a wonderful thing and a testament to their parents, especially their mother, who was a very good example for them, standing up there in that White House, and she took a lot from those that are criticizing her and have criticized her based on the way she looked, how she carried herself, and what she did. But when they aim low, you go high. That was her motto that she used. And at time to time, that is a good motto to use depending on the situation that you're in. So you have to know when to actually use that. And that would be simply, when do you walk away and when do you deal with it? So that is something that you have to determine as the person that is actually going through that. But again, she's a good example of how you handle yourself well as a Black woman. Amanda Gorman. Now, Amanda Gorman, she was the young lady that was at President Obama's inauguration. She came that day, and that was in 2021, so 2021, and she quickly rose to the top just by going into the inauguration. And she is a poet, and she is a very exceptional poet, and she's a young lady at that. And to be so young when she was out there doing that was awesome. So she opens the door to young women in her generation that want to do extraordinary things and stand into the public and say, hey, here I am. I am Black, I am proud, and I'm here to show you I'm big, bold, and I'm ready for the world. So Amanda Gorman, we celebrate you for your bravery, going out there and doing some extraordinary things, and continue doing what you're doing and keep moving forward. Stacey Abrams. Now, Stacey Abrams, she was a candidate for Georgia when she wanted to run and become the governor. This woman here should be celebrated because she has done some extraordinary things. Here, what it says is she has earned a Nobel Peace Prize, or she was nominated for one, but she deserves to be definitely a governor of Georgia. She worked a lot and worked very hard, and she continues to work hard for the people. And she is on the front line, but yet we know she hasn't had the opportunity to become, the mayor, or the governor of Georgia. And she worked so hard for it. There are many times that I thought that she was cheated out of this success, that clearly she demonstrates being a leader all the time, and she is the voice for some of the people there that trust her to speak up for them rather, when they are in need. The poor, she really stands up for them. Those that are marginalized, she's standing up for them. She's that sacrificial lamb that is willing to stand up and say, this is wrong. And because this is wrong, I'm going to stand up for those that are the voiceless. So big ups to her as well. Serena Williams. Now, Serena Williams, as we all know, she is an outstanding tennis player. Grand Slam titles, And she and her sister Venus, they have played together, and we've seen them win titles after titles after titles. And if no one ever seen that documentary, not the documentary, but the movie about the two of them and their father, well, really the whole family, but their father was extraordinary, and he didn't take no for an answer. When he kept going out there to that tennis court, and he dealt with a lot for his daughters, but look at the success, because he would not give up, and he knew that they were going to be successful, and they are. To these two ladies, good for you. Be examples, you're extraordinary examples for younger ladies that are coming up behind you that want to become tennis players, and they can accomplish this goal, and they can see this as long as they have people in their corner that is positive, and they know that these people are there for their best benefit. Then they can move forward as you have done, just like having your father and your mother in your corner. Beyonce. Now, as we know, Beyonce is one of those superstars out there that is doing, I mean, she is taking the world by storm. She came in as part of being a Destiny Child. She's definitely iconic. Um, she has at least sold, here it says 118 million records worldwide. So what an accomplishment to be a Black woman. That is a heck of an accomplishment. And Beyonce continues to break records. She's her concerts are always sold out. And I've never been to a Beyonce concert, but I have caught some of her concerts on Netflix, and you can see how the people love her and all of the extraordinary things that she has been doing, acting and doing things that we probably wouldn't even think of, and the constant dancing and singing, and also being a mother. It sounds like she really, really gravitates to being a mother. This is what comes first for her, and you could see that. And her music is there, but I think for her it is secondary to her children, and that is a great thing. So to you, Beyonce, we celebrate you as well here on the couch. Moving right along, let's see here. We have Simone Biles. She is a gymnast. Now, they are the little girls that are coming behind her. I can speak for about my granddaughter. She don't really know who Simone Biles is yet. She's about 8 years old, and but she would be an extraordinary person for her to watch, because she too loves gymnastics. And I think as she harness this craft and we continue to support her and also groom her, she would be great as a gymnast. But Simone would be a great example of how you can achieve this goal. And she has achieved and made strides, and she also had to stand up for herself when necessary, when she feel that she was being done wrong. She knew, hey, this is not what this is going to be. I have to stand up for her myself, and she did that. Misty Copeland. Now, Misty Copeland is an American ballet dancer, and she came on the scene. I didn't know anything about this young lady until she was on the cover of a magazine, and she too has taken the ballet world by storm. I think anything that we touch, we make it gold. And so when you think about these gold streets, I think the gold streets are the streets that we continue to make gold as we go along in this world, and continue to make strides and do things that other people are not willing to do. And it's how much we put into it. We put more than 10%, 20%, 30%. We put 100% into everything we do. Honestly, I think 1,000%. And those of you that do extraordinary things and stand out, and they're phenomenal things that you are doing, keep doing this as women. We don't have to be famous to make change in this world. Being here on this platform and talking about things that really would help another person is me contributing to society and saying, hey, I see you, I hear you, and I can be your voice, or you can come to this platform for knowledge and take that knowledge and utilize it in a way that you can keep going in life, especially when you're having moments that you don't feel well about who you are and where you are in this world. This is a beginning for you to listen and figure out, okay, what do I want in this world? What do I want to see, do, and what changes would I like to make? And that really, begins with, what do I want to do? What organizations can I join for change? Because we can join the NAACP, other organizations that are fighting back, Black Lives Matter, and other organizations we don't really talk about. So those grassroots organizations, take a look them up, join them, and you wouldn't believe it. You'll be out there making change, and you wouldn't have thought you would be able to accomplish that, but you can. So remember those things as women, and as Black women and women in color in general. We make changes. As we touch things, we know how to make things work and make the changes happen. But we also have to remember to remain a unified front to ensure that these changes occur. So moving on to the next person that I like to talk about is Nicole Hannah Jones. Now, she is a Pulitzer Prize winning investigative journalist who sparked a years long social conversation about slavery and racism through the magnum opus to date. The New York Times celebrated 1619 Project, now also published a published book. Now, I want to talk about her because when Nicole Hannah Jones decided that she wanted to take on the 1619 Project and bring it to fruition and have people really look at how the United States transported people here under duress, uh, people that did not want to be here, people that were human trafficked here. She took that on and said, I want the world to see. Now, this is a woman that could have thought and felt, what backlash would I get if I actually do this? But she did it because she wants people to know the history of Black people, especially Black women. So I want to just kind of focus on Black women in slavery and the things that they have been through. If you don't know, Black women have been through a lot during those years and even now. Back then, of course, we all know we were treated like property versus treated like a human being. Therefore, that slave owner enslaved you and then decided that he wanted to utilize your body. And not only did he utilize your body, but he also would say, the Black man, what he calls a buck, that you're going to mate with this person. You don't know this person. And here it is that you're having children, not only for the person that the master set you up with, but also for the overseer and the master and anyone else that he felt that that can be used. You are used by, rather. As we move forward, we know the differences between the one that works in the kitchen, the enslaved woman that worked in the kitchen, and the one that worked in the field. They were both equally unsafe. It wasn't like they were because you were in a house, you were in a safe position. You actually wasn't in a safe position because you were actually being leapt on by not only the master himself, but possibly his grown son or his wife that has a jealous streak about her. A good example of that is 12 Years a Slave. That's an excellent example of how the women were treated, especially the one young lady that kept being harassed by the master and the wife. Psychologically, what was she thinking? How did she get past that? Was she able to continue to survive on this plantation? Because at some point she didn't want to exist anymore because she felt like she couldn't get away from it. And to be in that position where you couldn't get away from it is scary. And you don't want someone using and abusing you for no apparent reason. But in that movie, it depicts exactly what Nicole Hannah Jones is talking about. This is what happened to women and other enslaved people that came over. We were also used for experimentation. So what did they do? Well, how did we get the tools that they use today when we go and get our exams? So those tools was used on an enslaved woman. She received no anesthetic, and they tested on her constantly. Okay, so can you only imagine these procedures that were done on her? No anesthetic because she was seen as an animal. And being seen as an animal is what they thought of us. You know, we were just stock. So therefore, there is no pain. So let's fast forward this to today. Today, the mortality rate with Black women or women of color in general, we are not believed. Many are not believed when they go to the hospital and you can say, hey, I'm in pain. They'll say, oh, no, not really. You know, you're okay. Just take a Motrin, a Tylenol, you're fine, go home. They send you home, it gets worse. You come back and you say, I'm still experiencing this pain. Can you see me? I really need help. Will they do that? No, they still send you back home, to the point where now you are possibly in a crisis level where you can possibly lose your life, and many have lost their lives, especially those that have had children. Many have gone in and went into labor, and many have not returned home with their children. The baby may have been born and they did not survive. The baby and mother did not survive, and the husband went home alone, or other family members went home alone. With things changing in this world, as we know, Roe versus Wade. So Roe versus Wade, we all know that that is for women's rights. That we have the right to choose what our body will go through, especially through pregnancy. If it is not a viable pregnancy, it should be terminated. It should be. If it is going to harm you in any way, you must make that decision of what am I going to do? My survival here is the key, especially when you have other children waiting for you and you know that this is not going to be healthy and the doctor is telling you so. But overall, women should have a choice of what they can do with their body. No one should be telling them what to do with their body, when, how, or anything like that, because this is our body. If the roles were reversed, I think some men would be appalled if someone says, well, you need to be castrated. You wouldn't want that, because that's telling this man you do not need to procreate with anybody. You just need to exist, and that's it. So for women, on the flip side, we should be able to make any choice we want to make with our bodies. So that is the connection when you think about the 1619 project, and now these same behaviors keep going and going and going. So it's not changing at all. Look at what's going on in the White House. In the White House, it's pretty dangerous for a lot of us out here. The climate is exactly the same back in the 1600s. We're definitely regressing. So regressing in that manner, then, it's we're going to be in a position that we could be, again, fighting for our rights, as we're doing slowly, going back to that. But again, I voted for the Black woman because I knew that she was going to come in and make some extraordinary changes, but we weren't able to get that. But what I will say again about Nicole Hannah Jones, it was very brave of you to decide to, again, put out a different documentary about slavery and the enslavement of Africans that came over, and then the continued enslavement of the African Americans that were here, because there were African Americans that were here. So with the continued enslavement. So again, to Nicole Hannah Jones, thank you so much for standing up. speaking up, and continue to do some great, extraordinary work. I looked forward to that project when it did come on as a documentary, and I watched it, and I'm going to watch it again because I do enjoy watching things multiple times to understand behavior, because a lot of what I do in my profession is understanding behavior. And that is something that I always try to figure out why. Why us? Why enslave people that did not deserve to be put in that position? But for us today, we need to really wake up and see what's going on around us and work together as a cohesive group so we can move forward. And women, we are here as great leaders, and we're always leading. It appears that we be standing in the background, but not all the time. We are the ones that are leading the charge. And a lot of the time, it is us standing in the front, and we are there. A lot of our leaders, our great leaders that we had, always had a woman behind them helping them in the background. So we bring value, a lot of value. Black women, we do it, and we do it well. So I want to shift gears a little bit, and this is also a part of Women History Month, and this is me contributing to it about talking about self-compassion. You know, it's not a selfish act, it's an act of self-love. This is important, that how we take care of ourselves and showing our self-compassion. So there's a few things that I'm going to go over today. Is understanding what self-compassion is, how do we practice self-compassion, and then we talk about a little bit about the emotional systems, building a strong soothing system, and grounding in mindfulness, and lastly, the importance of self-compassion. So self-compassion is just simply you focusing on you. Self-compassion is an attitude towards ourselves that show warmth, kindness, empathy, and understanding, especially when we are going through tough times. So what is tough times? Let's look at today. Today, we are going through tough times. Sometimes we are going through things at work, in our personal life, in society itself. We're going through some things, but we have to look at number one. If I am broken down, who can I help? If I love myself more by showing myself compassion, I can help anyone. So, and this, if you choose to help, remember to always set boundaries, because you don't want to be used and abused. And then you begin to build resentment, not only towards that person, but towards yourself, because you agreed to do it. So we just have to be very careful about how we help others and not burn ourselves out. Now, in order to show oneself compassion, we need to pay attention and be aware of our emotional, physical, and rational and spiritual needs, and nourish them to the best of our ability. So what does that mean? Paying attention would mean, if you are not feeling well, we go to the doctor. Mentally, if you know you're off, and this is an ongoing chronic behavior that you're constantly depressed or angry, or just not feeling well mentally, you're going to go and get assistance. And that's what I'm telling you to do. Focus on the mind, body, and spirit. If your mind is off, your spirit and your body is going to follow. It may not happen all at once, but it's going to happen. So be mindful of your mind, body, and spirit when it's not in alignment. Once it's in alignment, then you can again focus on keeping yourself aligned and also helping someone else. Now, how often do we show our self-compassion? To me, we need to show that every single day. If we can show it to someone else, which is so easy to do, we always going to show somebody else compassion. How do we do that? We can give someone who happens to be homeless and struggling in this world, we may give them $1. That's compassion. You're showing them compassion. Speaking to them, going to get food, compassion. Well, what about you? When you're feeling that moment of, hey, I want some peace. Peace is showing yourself compassion by removing what's not giving you peace. So there's people in your life and you're like, you know what? I don't want this this person in my life or these issues in my life. You're showing yourself compassion because you're removing that entity out of your life because you know it can do something to your alignment. So when your mind, body, and spirit is being threatened, you have to know when to stand up and say, no, I can't allow you to come into my space and allow disruption. So remember to always focus on you, the person. And that can be just simply telling yourself every day that you love yourself, reading affirmations every day. If you have a woman's Bible, go to your woman's Bible, read some things there, find some women that are like-minded like you, so you're not in a constant threat of women that are around you that are threatened by you. That really doesn't help. And then not only that, it does something to you as the person. Your compassion for yourself may diminish because you're starting to break down because the people around you are negative entities. So you have to get rid of those negative entities and say, you know what? I love myself more than I love you. So no, I don't need you around my space. If you can't be a positive light in my space, you have to be removed out of my space. So then that's up to you to say, no, thank you. Go on and have a wonderful life. Now, here's some examples about self-compassion. When my confidence is low, I tell myself I am valuable and list all of my strengths. You can do that. Sit down, write some things out about who you are, what your strengths are. Let's start with this. Who am I? So ask yourself that question. Who are you? Start with that question first. When you can answer that question about who you are, then you can begin to start implementing self-compassion. But if you're having difficulty figuring out who you are, then who are you giving self-compassion to? You're not going to know because you don't know who you are as a person. So how do you become a whole person? Identify things in your life that may be bothering you. Or if you're so puzzled or you're easily swayed by others. When you're easily swayed by others or you appear to adopt their behaviors or you don't want to ruffle any feathers and you're like, well, no, I'm going to play on this team right now. And then no, I'm going to go play on this team right now because you don't know what to do. Why can't you just stand in what your truth is? Just stand there in your truth. You don't have to sway either way. Just stand in your truth. Speak up when it's necessary because you and your self-esteem is very important and knowing who you are is important. And not only that, people in the world want to know who you are and how do you present yourself. If they see you as an unbalanced person, then it's hard for a person to be around you because you're unbalanced. They don't want to be unbalanced. And this is a person that's strong of self, knowing thyself. So they don't want the disruption of your unbalancedness and to come into their life. So knowing yourself begins with, who am I? What do I like about myself? What boundaries have I set for myself? Who do I bring into my circle? Does this person bring something to me and do I bring something to them? Is there even balance here? Am I sacrificing more than I need to sacrifice? So these are the things that you should be asking yourself. And that is your form of showing self-compassion. Journaling what you feel, self-compassion. Sitting down, reading a book, enjoying a book that you enjoy, watching movies, doing things you enjoy to do, showing yourself compassion, taking yourself out on a date, showing yourself compassion, because you don't have to have someone with you to bring value to who you are. You know who you are. Bring yourself value by loving yourself, by doing things for yourself. Go buy yourself a bag if you want to. Your money, the love for yourself. Do it. Who's going to stop you but you? Who can get in your way but you? Next thing, I struggle with failure. So when something doesn't go to plan, I try to tell myself failure is a normal and healthy part of life and helps me grow. It is. You have to fall to get back up. You cannot stay always up, up, up and never fall because how do you learn something? So as we go through life, even from childhood to adolescence to adulthood, and then I would say older adulthood, because it is different phases in our life that we go through. In these different phases, you're going to experience many, many things, losses, gains, um, go through some financial circumstances that you go through. You go through some health issues. It's what do you do when you know these things and how to bounce back? Well, showing yourself compassion would be, even if you did it to yourself, I forgive me for putting myself in this particular position. However, I'm not going to stay there because I know I can get out of it. And I love myself enough that I can forgive myself for the choice that I made so I can move forward. So I can continue to exist as me, the person, because I bring something to society. And if you believe that, then you're not only showing love for other people around you, but it's really for yourself, because you're bringing and you're offering something to yourself and to those that are around you. And that is just simply the balance of knowing yourself. Know thyself. Emotional systems. And this is you practicing self compassion, is paying attention and responding to our emotional needs. So, your emotional needs, focus on that. What is my emotional needs? If I feel threatened, how do I protect myself? You don't always have to physically protect yourself, but psychologically, you want to protect yourself. Protect your peace. That's all I'm going to say with that. Protect your peace. Go about doing that by removing entities that is going to disrupt your peace. So remember those things and keep yourself balanced. Building a strong soothing system. So here's some soothing activities that you can do using breathing exercises. Now, with the breathing exercises, you are really going to inhale and exhale, inhale and exhale. These types of exercises actually help you calm down a lot easier versus you staying in that hypersensitive zone. And that zone is a higher zone. This is where everything is like you feel so hyped and you're always on guard to protect yourself. Where if you feel that way, begin to breathe. And as you're breathing and you're doing these exercises, then you begin to calm down easier. Praying and going to church. Prayer does wonders. Prayer is a form of meditation, but you're talking to a higher being. This higher being is God. As we know, this is our Father, this is our Lord, this is our Alpha and our Omega. He is the one that's going to give us balance in our life when we need it. So how do you go to these sources? Well, you have prayer and you also have going to church. Try that, bring it into your life, and you will be surprised what balance begins to come into your life as you hear these messages through the conduits. And that is your pastor or any clergy that you have a connection with. Doing arts and craft. Doing arts and craft is a form of where you can meditate. You're meditating and you're doing something that's calm, nothing that is ruffling your feathers. You're sitting and it's a form of therapy when you are doing arts and craft. Mindfulness or meditation. So mindfulness, again, is you being mindful of the things that are happening around you in real time. So you're mindful about it. So you connect to what is happening to you right there in real time, and then you try to deal with it in real time. So if someone angers you in real time, what do you do to begin to calm yourself down? Well, you can start beginning to do self-talk. So understand what you're dealing with. What entity or what person am I dealing with? Well, I'm dealing with a person that is possibly an ignorant person. So what do? Do you go along with the ignorance, or do you remove yourself from the ignorance, or do not respond to the ignorance at all? So this is when you become mindful and say to yourself, walk away, calm down, remove yourself from the situation, because if you engage with this person, now the shift of power happens. So remember, your shift of power can really transcend, and then they get it and you don't have it any longer. And that's when you begin to wig out. So be mindful of what is going on around you, what your triggers are, so you understand what to do next. And again, talking in a compassionate voice to yourself is another way that you can show love for self. Setting boundaries. Learn to say no. So say no when it's necessary without guilt. And that's what I will say for that. Respect your own limits is crucial for your self love. Know your limits, respect your limits. If you set limits for yourself, continue to abide by it. You're not offending someone else because you're setting limits. As you should, set your limits. This is for you. Daily affirmations, as I talked about earlier, remember to look at some affirmations to get you through your day, to keep you on a positive path and move forward with that positive affirmation. Think about it all day. Write it down if you have to. Remember to go back to it. If something that you want to read to yourself every day, by all means, utilize that to get you through your day. Forgiveness of yourself. Let go of past mistakes and be kind to yourself. Understand that no one is perfect. And this is true. No one is perfect. So seek out forgiveness for yourself if it's something you did wrong, made a wrong decision for yourself, and then the outcome was disastrous and you didn't think it was going to happen that way, but it did. So remember to take care of yourself by loving yourself and say, I forgive me. So forgive yourself and don't be so hard on yourself. Okay? Seek support. Surround yourself around positive people, supportive people, people that are uplifting you, not people that is going to bring you down. If these people bring you down, that means you need to make a choice to get rid of those people and remove them out of your life. And you can do that with no regrets. And you have to do it for you. Number one, put yourself first. And remember that you, the person, knowing yourself, meaning you love yourself. Therefore, you have to remove what is unhealthy for you. Grounding and mindfulness. Now, when you're doing grounding work, it'll help you guide you to rediscovering and connecting between grounding us in the present. So when you're in the present, you're in the now, you know what's going on. And then again, you can handle it. So you're being in that moment, understanding that moment, going through it, experiencing that moment, and then processing that moment. So you're in it, you're grounding in it. And then the mindfulness is about connecting your thoughts and feelings and our relationship and our memories. It allows us time to recognize and properly process emotion experiences and events. So it's going to help us process what's happening right now. So the grounded and the mindfulness, they work together because it's in the here and the now. So when that is happening to you in the here and the now, you can deal with it, or you can learn how to deal with it. Even if you don't have the answer that moment, just recognize that it's happening to you, and then you figure out later what to do. Be kind to your mind. Inhale and exhale, and stay with a positive mind. Now, the importance of self-compassion now reduces anxiety and stress. And when you're kind to yourself during difficult times, it can significantly reduce anxiety. So those of you that suffer from panic attacks, anxiety overall, show yourself compassion. And as you begin to show yourself compassion, you will realize that you will begin to start reducing your anxiety. And the goal is to do that, not to increase your anxiety, is to reduce your anxiety. So work hard at making those changes so you can continue to live a peaceful life. And self-compassion, it does improve your mental health. Practicing self-compassion has been linked to lowering levels of depression and anxiety and encourage a positive mindset and help combat negative self-talk. When you begin to have negative self-talk, you really, really need to focus and look at that, because if you begin to talk to yourself in a negative tone because of a tape recorder that you've heard most of your life, either from someone else or yourself, you need to work on getting rid of those voices. And that is when I think you should be seeking professional help at that point. It doesn't mean that you're crazy. It doesn't mean that. We have a subconscious. Our subconscious talks to us all day, every day. That's what makes us such unique beings, because we're able to do that. So, but if you hear this constantly going on in your ear, it's something that you're going to have to work on. And if you need help, reach out. So you have Therapy for Black Girls, you have Psychology Today, you go on those, you'll be able to find people that you can do therapy with and help you through these times. Also seek your spiritual counseling if necessary. If you do not choose to go out in the public sector to go out there and get it, try your best to go get it spiritually. Self-compassion also promotes healthy relationships. When you're compassionate towards yourself, you're more likely to extend that kindness to other people. This is true. When you love yourself and you show compassion to yourself, it is so much easier, or begins to become a lot easier for you to show compassion to others. But it's so funny though, we can show compassion much easily to others, but it depends on who you are as a person, because there's some people that can't do it. They're very stoic. They're very stuck in their ways. They don't want to show compassion to no one else. They don't care to do it. So just keep that in mind. It does promote healthiness and empathy and understanding of others that surround you. Self-compassion also encourages personal growth. You want to grow as a person. We're constantly growing every single day, every day. So use that as a way of growing, is by giving yourself self-compassion. Boosting of your self-esteem. That's another thing that self-compassion can do, is boost your self-esteem. And that, yet again, that's also important. So here it is. I'm getting to the end of my Women's History Month discussion. You'll see us again on the 22nd. And on the 22nd, I will have a special guest here. Her name is Angela Thorne, and she is a survivor of human trafficking. This is a very interesting young lady. I actually met her down in Texas while I was actually doing a speaking engagement myself. This speaking engagement had educating those about domestic violence, and she has experienced that as well. She has written a book, but you'll get an opportunity to hear about her survival, but you'll also hear how she ended up being human trafficked. So I am looking forward to Angela Thorne coming on March 22nd at 11 a.m. And I'm pretty sure my co-hosts, they will all be back, because I know life sometimes happens and I get that, but the show must go on. So I thank those that are tuning in this morning with me, and those that go back and listen to the replay. I hope the information that I provided to you is very, very helpful. Just remember to, click on to us on Facebook, also on YouTube. And I just want to begin to promote the Candid Conversation Women's Group will begin in the month of May. If you are interested in joining the Candid Conversation group, please reach out to candidconversation.dr.d@gmail.com. Again, if you're interested, please reach out to me on Facebook and I will reach back out to you. If you would like to send me an email, again, it's candidconversation.dr.d@gmail.com. So again, we are now at the end of our show. I thank you all for joining me today. And again, I hope you walked away with some valuable information and walk away with knowing that loving yourself is not a crime. It is something that you should be doing on a daily basis. And for Women History Month, I challenge you women to go out there and do some wonderful things for yourself. Enjoy life. Life is short. Remember to love yourself and remove negative entities out of your life, and look up some women that I discussed about today, and look at the women in your family that are also positive in life. Just because they are not on the, a celebrity out here and you could see these people in front of you, but the crazy thing is you see these people every day and they're in your life every day, and they should be valued just like everyone else. So remember, love yourself, because you can't love anybody else until you love yourself. Know thyself. Take care, everybody. Peace, love, and tranquility, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a wonderful, positive 2 weeks, and I will see you again on March 22nd. Have a good one. Hello.
Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of On the Couch. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation and found it as enlightening and inspiring as I did. Remember, the stories and experiences we share here are just the beginning of a much larger journey. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, look for the notification on Facebook, and find us on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps us keep the conversation going and reach more listeners just like you. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep the dialogue alive. Peace, love, and tranquility. Take care, and we'll see you on the couch.